Part 2 of the Anthony Lamacchia keynote presentation is all about sellers. How do you manage their expectations? How do you talk to your buyers? Why are we telling consumers the wrong thing? Why are we jumping to conclusions of whether they're working with a realtor, whether they're pre-approved, while we're drilling down on them, asking them 20 questions when we should be asking them is what their goals are and how we can help them. So check it out. You're not going to want to miss it. Like and subscribe for future videos.
Feel better, and it takes their guard down. It's like calling a realtor. Realtors are the only creatures on earth. You call, hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm really happy where I am. Well, glad to hear you're happy. Right? Human beings put shields up all the time. We all do it. Buyers are liars and sellers are worse. And I have news for you. We're all buyers. We're all consumers. How many times have you gone to a store? You walk in. Excuse me, could I help you? No, I'm just looking. It's like the guy came out with an axe or something, right? That's a human habit. I was doing a training on this a couple of weeks ago, and the general counsel in our company, he's been with us 3 months, he was sitting in on training, and he came up to me after, and he says, it's funny you say that. And this guy's like the most proper, ethical, I don't even think this guy's blown a stop sign in his life, right? Ever. Right, Angela? Ever. So proper. He's like, it's funny you say that. I was out at a store with my wife the other day, and they were trying to sell me, and I just kept saying things to get them away. But when I look back, I was kind of lying. I said, of course you were, because we all lie to salespeople, and it's socially acceptable in society. You ever notice, do you ever meet people, they say, no, I'm a very honest person. I'm very ethical. Yeah, they're full of shit just for saying that. It's literally accepted human behavior to lie to salespeople to push them off and say they're not ready. So when you get a sell-by lead that tells you they're not ready, now if they say I'm not ready because my son isn't graduating high school till next May of 24, that's a legitimate I'm not ready. But when you get a I'm not ready, we're just not ready yet. We're just not ready. Lie. Lie. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get ready on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock at a very inconvenient time when they see the right home, and they're going to call you frantically and think that you should literally drop everything you're doing, run to them, show the home, call the listing broker, get them in touch with a mortgage broker, write an offer. Then when it doesn't get accepted, they get pissed off at you. How many people has that happened to? Right? This is what buyers do. So what you have to do is tell them that. Those of you that are on my training, I have a whole video, a whole story about how I went through that with our attorney 3 summers ago. She drove me up the wall. I'm ready, I'm not ready. I said, stop telling me you're not ready. You're full of shit. You just haven't found the right home. And until you see the right home, you're not going to come and say you're ready. But when you see the right home and you start getting ready, it's going to be gone before you are ready to make a move. You need to have an agent over to your home. Figure out what your home is worth. Plan it out. Get on that agent's radar. This is me talking to her. Get on that agent's radar. Get your home on her radar so that she knows what your home has to offer, so that she can talk to buyers in her sphere of influence about it. And you tell her what you want to buy, because I'm going to connect you with the #1 realtor down there. This was on Cape Cod. Tell her what you want to buy so that her antennas are up to find it, and maybe you could find something before it's listed. Okay. She goes ahead with it. 3 months later, and I knew in between, but 3 months later, I got a picture that touched my heart. It was her son, my son's age, diving in the pool. And she said in the text, he would not be jumping into our new pool right now at our new house if you didn't make a second effort with me. Thank you very much. Okay? And it really touched, you don't ever lose sight of what we do, folks. We're involved in what is usually the largest transaction in people's lives. We're involved in where they live in their home. That's a big deal, a big responsibility, right? And I was really happy to receive that, but think about that. She got to me because she's our outside counsel and she talks to me all the time. I said to myself that day, how many of her are out there that our agents couldn't get in action? That our agents, they said, no, I'm not ready. Literally, people are crazy. I'm not ready, I got a realtor. That's how consumers act because they think we're all attack dogs. I made the second effort, I hooked her, she got the home she wanted. So be aware of those things when you get on these lead calls. Be aware of the interest rate concern. Be aware of the where am I going to go concern. And be aware of the fact that you need to be able to mention the major benefits of home ownership off the tip of your tongue all the time. They start hemming and hawing about pricing. Well, where do you live now? Oh, I live in an apartment. I just moved here. I was in another one, but they raised the rent so much. Well, that's the beauty of home ownership. You have a set payment, usually for 30 years. And if you were to buy some of the properties that we have available, we might be able to get the payment lower for the first 2 years, and then it would be the same, it would be higher for 28 years, but at least you would know what your payment's going to be. When you're renting, it could be double 5 years from now, right? You have to be able to blurt these things out like that. It's very, very, very important. Now, log on to benefitsofhomeownership.com if you want to see me talking about it in a video and you want to see a blog that we wrote. Go ahead and rip some stuff off, put it on your own Instagram, your own Facebook, and talk it up. See how I explain it in the video. I go to the whiteboard and I break it down, and on that page, I'm talking to buyers. Go look at it, benefitsofhomeownership.com. Mortgage rate buydowns. We have several videos. We have several educational pages all written up where I break it all down. For that, log on to Lamacchia, Lamacchia, rateBuydown.com. Because a lot of what I'm telling you right now, no matter how animated I am and I try to do as best I can speaking, you're going to forget about 75% of what I told you. That's just the way we are. We're all humans. Things go in our minds and out of our minds. So write that down, LamacchiaRateBuydown.com. And it's not really our rate buy down, but that's just the page that you can find it at, okay? Now, let's talk home sellers. When I was selling homes every day, and Angela was working with me, we were in a market with the highest inventory in 30, 40 years at the time. You guys are not facing that, but you are facing a higher inventory. And let me ask you this. How many of you are finding sellers to be very unreasonable right now? Okay? That's what I heard a lot of that last night. Maybe not the whole crowd. But how many people are finding sellers to be unrealistic about what their home is worth and to have no recognition of the market? Don't you love the sellers that say, no, I know the market's changed. I know. Just not at my house. The market's changed every fucking house in the whole neighborhood, but not at my house. It's like, are these people on drugs? Give me some, whatever they're on, because they're delusional, right? That's how sellers see it. And the only way you will get through to a seller, because folks, here's the deal. It's all about the price, okay? As long as you are listing the property properly in MLS, you have pictures up, you have good descriptions, you're making sure it's syndicating to other websites, all those basics that I don't need to teach you about. If it is not selling, it is the price. So if you're new in this business and you're like, no, what do you mean? In the last 2 years, my Instagram videos were so amazing that everything sold. No, it's not you. It was the market. See, us realtors, you should remember this script. I say this on the news. I've said it to sellers. Us realtors get more credit than we deserve when a home sells fast, and we get more blame than we deserve when a home doesn't sell. That's a fact. The vets in the room, do you agree? Complete fact. Let's be real. Oh my God, you're amazing, Dina. You sold my house in 17 seconds. And you're like, yeah. Come on. Like there's 9 homes on the market. There's 42,000 buyers. Dina's amazing, but come on, right? It was totally you, absolutely. So, hey, we just looked like heroes for the last really 3-4 years, particularly from when we got let out of COVID jail, which in Texas was like a week after it started. I love that. That made me want to move here. But we got let out of COVID jail in about May of 20? So May of 20 to May of 22, homes were popping like that, right? Right away. So you were a hero. Now you could be a zero, right? It's just how it goes. So to get around that, you have to really, really up your skills with presentation, with education, with marketing data. See, most realtors that I know, they know more about I gotta be careful, there's a kid in here, who's with who on the Real Housewives than they do about the average price in their market, the amount of inventory in their market, the average days on market in their market. Folks, you're supposed to be the expert. And there's tons of information out there. MLSs have a tremendous amount of information. You should be looking at these reports all the time. Average sale price, average days on market, total amount of homes for sale. Right now, are there more homes for sale than there was a year ago? Yes. Well, what's the difference between now and 4 months ago? What's the difference between now and last May? When you're going over comps with a seller, you should be looking at and making sure to show them when there's a comp. In the last 3 months, you probably end up in front of sellers that there's a comp that you're like, I don't even want them to see this comp because it's going to make them think they can get it, right? Okay, so here's what you do. Here's what you do. Let's say that comp is selling at 600 and their house is worth 525 in today's market with inventory dramatically higher. But you're forced to bring that comp to the appointment because if you don't, they're going to call you out and be like, well, what about the one over there that sold for 600? So you bring it on the appointment and you bring all the pictures along with it. The full MLS sheet. Then you look at the market history and you say, this one did sell for 600. I just want to point out, look at the day it was listed. Look at the day it went under contract. Listed February 15th of 2022, under contract February 20th of 2022. At that time, and then you pull out the chart, the interest rate chart. At that time, look, interest rates were 3.7%. To buy a home like this at that time, the mortgage payment was, and you look at the chart, $3,100. Today, that same home for that price, at today's interest rates, 6.25%, that same mortgage is $4,200. I'm making up numbers, but are you guys following me? You have to get them to understand these facts. Because if you just make it about the home, they take it personal. What do you mean? I have the most amazing chandelier. Look at it, it has branches. It's incredible. I have cobwebs. My ex-husband flew that in before he left with his new wife. Like all this shit they come up with, right? My baseboards are incredible. They're all this special. And you're like, how many times have you been in a house? This is so amazing. They're showing you a room or something about their house, and you're like, this thing sucks. But you got to, oh, yeah, the counter is awesome. And you're like, that's fucking horrible, right? So you have to go through some of that. But getting through to a seller and getting them to the right price, or at least getting them to understand that they're going to need to reset their expectations. Folks, that doesn't start the minute you're going over pricing. That starts with your first phone call. That starts with the actions that you take from the time you're on the phone to the time you're in front of them to the time you list the home. Okay? All those actions matter. When Angela managed our team, I used to have a real estate team. We had about 8 people. We were selling 500 to 600 homes a year. And Angela was the boss of the group under me. And we made sure that people kept contact high, that they were in touch with their sellers and all that. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. But what happens in the sales process really, really matters. Number one, when you're talking to people on the phone, when they throw out to you, my neighbor's home just sold for 600. Do you think I can get it? Oh, we're going to take a look at that when I come over. Don't worry. Don't answer the question. What do you charge for commission? So they say in Boston. They say it just like that in Boston. What do you charge for commission? Oh, we're very competitive. Don't worry. If we weren't, we wouldn't be in business. We'll go over that. Do not answer money-related questions on the call. Period. Don't do it. Unless you get some real hard ass that pins you to the wall. Well, our commission's roughly here to here. I'm not going to talk commissions. Or just tell me, do you think I can get 600? Sir, I've never seen your home. I'm not sure of that. When I come over, we're going to take a hard look at it and really see if that's possible. Then you talk about what you're going to do for them. Same as a buyer call. You can't make it all about you. When did you buy the home? What did you pay? How much do you owe on your mortgage? No. What are you going to do for them? What are you going to do for them? That's what folks, consumers, including everyone in this room, right? Everyone in this room, whether you got $1 in your pocket or $1 million in the bank, we all care about one thing. We all listen to one radio station. Anybody know what radio station it is? WIFM. What's in it for me? Me. I. That's what consumers give a shit about. They don't care about you and your agenda. So you need to talk about what differentiates you on the phone and start planting some seeds, because if you don't say it multiple times, they're not going to get it. Okay? At our company, one of the things we tend to talk up is floor plans because we have a really good process with sending someone out and pictures, sign, lockbox, floor plans. Well, and I don't say all that, but the script would be floor plans increase buyer views by 70%, yet only about 10% of listings have online floor plans. That's one of the small things that we do to differentiate. We also, as you probably know, we do a lot of television advertising, billboards, radio, online. We buy more online leads than any other player in our market, and that's why we're always driving in so many buyers, because we want to expose our properties not to just where everybody else does on MLS. We want to expose them to our huge pool of buyers as well so that we can get a premium. See, we do a ton of marketing, Mr. Seller. The more marketing that we do, the more demand that we create. The more demand that we create, the more money we put in your pocket. Now, you're not going to say it like that in that order, but you're working that into the conversation. So when you're dealing with sellers, I want you to write this down. Write down, marketing equals demand. Demand equals money. So literally it says, marketing equals demand equals money. That's the mindset you have to have, because now you're in a delicate situation. And if you go back and you look at a Crush It in Real Estate video that I did in July with Steve's wife, Kathy, from Steve's Dock at Lake Ozark. Kathy's a vet in the business. She's speaking next week at Inman with me. And her and I talked about how when the market changes, it makes things very difficult. Because you want a seller to understand that you're not going to just sell their home. You're going to sell their home for more. But they'll look at you like, you'd say you're going to sell my home for more, but now you're telling me you want me to price it lower. It's very delicate. It's very tricky. So those of you that haven't been through these market changes, you got to be on your game and talk up those things. When I come over to your home, we'll take a look around the home, find some things that maybe you can do to increase the value. And then maybe there's some things you were planning on doing that you don't even need to do. When I come over, we'll go through that. The largest expense involved in a home sale is usually the mortgage payoff. Do you happen to know what you owe, or do you own the home outright? Do you guys see what I just did there? I didn't say, well, how much do you owe on the mortgage? Number one. Number two, what else did I do? Yes, I repositioned. She said reposition the commission, but I What if you went to 100 homeowners and said, what's the largest expense involved in a sale? What would they say? Commission, those realtors. Right? So instead I say, well, the largest expense involved in a sale is usually the mortgage payoff. Do you happen to know what you owe, or do you own your home outright? Now I'm positioning everything correctly. I get that appointment scheduled. Appointment gets scheduled. You need to tell them what the next steps are. You're the doctor, they're the patient. How many of us, when you're dealing with a doctor's office and they say, no, before you come in, you got to go downstairs and register. You got to go get blood, give blood, not get blood, give blood. And then come by and see the doctor. What do we all do? Okay, we go register on the first floor, we go give blood on the second floor, we go see the doctor. When you do those things and you give them specific to-dos in the next steps, you are commanding control, okay? You want them to view you as a position of authority. So you get that appointment booked and you tell them, when we hang up, I'm going to send you an email confirmation. It's going to have some various links in it that talk about my marketing. And I'm also going to send you a calendar invite. And you mentioned your husband's going to be there as well, which is great. 2 heads is better than 1. What's your husband's email address? Put them on it, okay? So I'm going to send you these emails, and I will see you on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Between now and then, I'm going to have a package dropped off at your home that shows all of the marketing that we do. Maybe I wouldn't say all. Shows some of the marketing that we do so that you can get an idea in advance of the appointment. It'll save us some time, and it'll kind of get you to a better understanding before then. Does that sound good? Then you make sure they get that package. Then you show up Sunday. Folks, all these little steps is getting them focused on the right thing. Because when they first call you, a seller is only thinking about price and commission. Like I always say this, if this was a whiteboard and I wrote value over here and I wrote cost over here, which side is a consumer initially automatically attracted to? Cost. What's it going to cost? What's the split? How much is it? We're screwed up in our own heads over this stuff. Not, well, wait a second. If I spend a little more, will I get a lot more? Is there better value over here? No. So your goal with that consumer is to get them to the value side, and you do that by showing differentiation. Okay, showing them what you're going to do differently. So you schedule the appointment, you send the package out. Saturday afternoon, you give them a call. Hey, I'm just getting ready for our appointment tomorrow. I had a question. You mentioned to me that you finished the whole 3rd floor of the home. Is there a full bath up there or a half? I'm just running some comms, so I just wanted to be sure. And by the way, did you have a chance to review the package that I sent? Oh, you did? Great. What about the email with those links? Oh, you didn't? That's okay. Take some time. Just take a look before tomorrow. I'll see you at 3 tomorrow. Now you're touching them again. You show up at the home. Now you have the listing appointment. Now you've done probably 4 or 5 things that the people you're competing with likely didn't do. How many people can admit they don't systematically, automatically do all those things before a listing appointment? Put your hands up. Thank you. Now we're getting back to when these things matter, okay? You don't just throw a home on the market and it sells in 5 seconds. And if you don't overwhelmingly impress them in advance, you're going to have a harder time getting your commission and getting your price. Steve mentioned how they're getting price shopped more than they ever have as long as he's been in the business. Why? Because consumers are feeling the squeeze. When I get an agent who tells me, God, every listing appointment I go on, I'm getting beat up on commission. These damn sellers, they're so unreasonable. You know what I say to myself? It's not the sellers, it's you. If you overwhelm them in value, going to that right side, they're going to be less likely to ask about the cost. Okay? So you're warming them up before you get there. When you're going on the listing appointment, you're doing the listing appointment in a certain order. Initially, building rapport, conversation, walking around the home, checking it out. When you're walking around the home and you see something wrong, don't bring it up. Make a note. That's important. Because if you bring it up, you might derail the appointment. Remember, you want to sell you before you sell someone else. It's like when I hear agents say, oh, I always talk, I'm having a hard time converting buyers. And I say, oh, let me hear you do a call. They're on the call 30 seconds, and they're literally saying to the buyer, well, I got a mortgage broker that'll help you. I can get you connected if you like. I hang up. They hang up. I say, what are you doing? Fuck the mortgage broker. Sell yourself first. Mortgage broker second. You're not trying to get your contractor friend some work. First step is sell you. You see something wrong with the house, you make a note, you keep going. You go in a room, 3 walls are painted, not the 4th. Just write it down. You get to the end of the listing appointment, after sign up, you talk about those things. They start questioning you. Yeah, let me think about that one. I want to see the rest of the home. Push off. Stay away from costs. Stay away from money. As soon as you mention that baseboard has to be replaced, that wall has to be painted, their brain is automatically thinking, oh, who's going to do it? What are they going to charge me? Can I get it done in time? That's what consumers do. Okay? Then you sit down at the table. You go through your presentation. When you're going through your presentation, remember what sellers want. They want as much money as possible on their time frame. Especially if they're a sell-by, you got to be more deliberate in your steps in your conversation. And you also have to talk about the buy side. I'm going fast, obviously. This is like a 4-hour training on the seller appointment, but I'm just zipping through it, okay? When you go over price, this is critical. This is the part that I really want to get into because you guys need to nail your prices. If you nail pricing and price adjustments, you will dominate this market because most realtors won't, and that's what Angela and I and our crew at home did. We got really, really good at pricing and price adjustments, and we dominated and we grew all the way through the market slowdown. You can do the same thing, but you have to be very specific with your steps, okay? You go over pricing. Now, I know a lot of agents like fancy CMIs and all the glitz and glamour and all that. That's fine. But put your comps in the order from lowest to highest. Show them the lowest comp first. It might be so low that they might say, oh, my house is way better than that one. I know, but this is 2 streets over, so I wanted to have it in here because it is a comparative. And remember, an appraiser will take it into account. You're doing that on purpose because you're trying to hit them a little bit in the beginning and bring their expectation down a little bit. That's a specific tactic. You go through the next comp, the next comp. If you get to a comp, which may happen, that you're thinking, shit, I don't want them thinking their house is worth this, make sure you have every picture of that comp and you literally put them through the pain of, yeah, check out this kitchen. They got the double wide refrigerator, 36 inches, and look at that counter. Yeah, it's better than yours. Right? You can't say that, but you're thinking it. So you go through every bit of that comp. When you get to the end, this is where the ninja skills come in, folks. The question you ask them, you don't tell them, is, based on those comps, where do you think your home fits in? Right? That's key. Don't tell them a number. You tell them a number. You say 600. This is what happens to you when you walk out of that house. They're pinning a 600 to the back of your head. And now you made yourself like all the other realtors where they're only going to talk about the number. They're going to associate you with a number. which makes it harder to get hired. Then if you do get hired and you list at that price and it doesn't sell, guess what happens? You're a horrible person. Folks, for newer agents in here, I want to take you back a year and a half. How aggravating was it to have a buyer that you made multiple offers with and you couldn't land them a home, 3 homes, 4 homes, 5 homes? Was that annoying? Did buyers get annoyed? Did you lose some buyers because of that? Okay, go back, close your eyes, go back in the time capsule and envision their anger towards you. Ready? Multiply that by 15 if it's a seller and their home's not selling, because they will blame you. They blame agents most of the time. Remember, we get more credit than we deserve when a home sells fast, and we get more blame than we deserve when a home doesn't sell. So going through those comps is critical, and then you literally have to say, so based on these comps, where do you think your home fits in? You're going to get some sellers that say, I don't know, that's why I had you over here. I know, but I'm with you. I'm not negotiating with you. I'm on your side. I want to get you as much as possible. What do you think? Take a guess. Take your best educated guess, Joey. Where do you think your home fits in? Right? Get them to say a number. If they start hammering you and they really want you to say it, maybe give a range. If they say a crazy number, which is what they normally do, you need to expect that. Don't be Anthony Lamacchia 2005 when they say a crazy number and go, hey, listen, I take a lot of pride in being blunt with my clients. I'll tell you now, that number's not happening. I used to say shit like that. And I thought like that was cool to be so honest. No, being honest, especially being honest too early, it doesn't work. So when they say a crazy number, say, okay, which one of these comps makes you think that we should be priced at that? Show me which one, right? Put it back on. I'm dead serious. These tactics, these little details matter. And we see it. You know, when we get complaints, we have 500 agents in the brokerage. We sold almost 4,000 homes last year. We get complaints. And when we get complaints, it's usually, see Angela shaking her head, it's usually the agent missed a step in the process. Not always, but usually. Which one of these comps makes you think that your home should be priced at 600? And in your head, you're out of your mind, right? Show me. They show you. You go back and forth. And that's how you get them down on the number initially. Then somewhere in there, you have to talk to them about how you will know, and they will know, if the home is priced right or wrong within 14 to 21 days. And the way we're going to know that, Mr. Seller, depends upon the feedback. If we get 10 people in here, and 9 of them say it's overpriced, and the seller's going to go, well, then it's overpriced, and they're really cool about it at that moment. They're not that cool later. But at that moment, you can just enjoy that moment. So you go over that with them, right? And get them to be realistic. Then you get them to hopefully sign up at the right number. You get the property listed. Your initial steps in that first week or 2 are very, very critical. Because we just went through 2 years of all listing agents being extremely spoiled, where everything they listed turned to sold. Now you have to actually go back to working some of your listings. And if you think that you're going to be able to call a seller 20 days on the market and go, hey, how you been? We haven't talked in a few weeks. Listen, it's time to adjust the price. I know we went out at $575. It's not working, so we need to go down to $525. And if you think the seller's going to say, oh, no problem at all, $525. You know what? Why don't we go $499? Dreaming. You have to have good contact. You have to have specific emails, which, by the way, we have in our system for those that use it. Go to the resources section. Specific emails that go out when the home is listed. A few days later, you need to be calling on the telephone and using the phone for what it was originally meant for. When we get complaints, sometimes Angela says to an agent, I'm curious, when's the last time you talked to the seller on the phone? Well, we texted the other day. Angela's like, no, I understand. When's the last time you spoke to them? When's the last time you spoke? Well, I'm like 2 weeks. No, that's bullshit. You don't go 2 weeks without talking to your seller and hearing their voice on the phone. No way. You're calling them. You get to about a week and a half, 2 weeks on the market, send them an email, show them the reports of the property being listed, let them know you're doing everything you can to sell the home. Then if you get in a position where you think a price adjustment is necessary, you have a conversation with them, and you say, have you considered a price adjustment? What is it now, a price improvement? It wasn't that nice when I was doing it every day. But have you considered a price adjustment? And you open the door to that conversation. But again, you need to show comps, new comps. What about when a new listing, you list a home for 600, okay? 4 days later, another one comes up in that neighborhood for 575. What's the first thing you need to do? PDF that listing or even screenshot it and text it to your seller. Hey, see this? FYI, that might make things a little harder on us. You have to constantly be educating them and giving them information instead of just telling them things when it's convenient for you to tell them. Okay? I'm telling you with 100% certainty, you get good at this, you will dominate. There are a few veterans with me like Angela and Dave and a few other people who are like, let the market go to hell. Because most of the agents don't know how to deal with it, and we do. Right? You can be one of those agents, but your steps have to be perfect. I was talking to an agent outside earlier today who openly said, yeah, honestly, before my listing appointments in 2020, I did all those steps perfectly, but I've fallen off the tracks in the last 2 years. I get it. The last 2 years was la-la land for listing agents. Market went 100 miles an hour. Every buyer had FOMO. Every buyer was dying to buy. Everybody was fighting over homes. We're edging our way back to normalcy. On the way there, it's a bumpy road. We're going to have, I think, another year or two of this type of wonkiness in the market, and then we'll go on another 8 to 10 year run. But if you want to live through it, and not just get through it, but thrive through it, you have to be on your game. Okay, I looked at all these goals. I watched them doing this exercise today, and I thought it was fantastic. I mean, talk about personal accountability. People putting it, I like this. I don't know who this is, but do the fucking work. Sorry, I just had an ADD moment, but I like that person. Who wrote that, by the way? I like that. That's good. That's a good reminder to yourself, right? And we should spend some time on that. So before I go into goal setting, habits, mindset, and tell a couple stories, what questions do you have specific to sellers, seller conversion or buyers? I don't care. You want to hit me with some questions? Go ahead. Go.
What about a higher-end listing with your script about the mortgage rate?
Yep.
If they've got in their mind this is only going to be appeal to a half million, what's your response to that?
I don't know what you mean it would only appeal to a
They're thinking, only a half.
Why? Because they think they're special because they're luxury? Yeah. I mean, luxury people love to feel special, but I mean,
You can't use the mortgage script you talked about.
why not? Steve, you guys are doing buy downs on jumbos, right? Buy downs work on jumbos. Now, a lot of the buyers might not care, but you could still talk to the sellers about how you can offer that.
Yeah, I'm saying if your seller is saying, this is going to be something that's coming in this big cash, you don't need to worry about the mortgage.
There's a lot less cash buyers right now. Can we agree? And why is that? There's a lot less cash buyers, and the reason is when the market's going up rapidly, buyers, I mean, Miami, you want to talk about cash. Cash poured into South Florida like never before. Because to them, it was like putting money into a stock that was going crazy. Now that that's backed off, everybody's getting mortgages again. So when you have a seller that says that, say, listen, the truth is cash buyers have really slowed down in the last 6 months, and we're back to having most people mortgage their properties. All right? Another question? Go.
I have a response to this, but I'm just curious what you would say in this situation. If
Sure.
the seller, you give them a range, or you get them to say a price, and then they say, well, I want to build in some room for negotiation.
You know what you do with that? You tell the truth and you show comps. Well, listen, Mr. Seller, contrary to popular belief, the higher you like, the lower you list your home, the more it'll sell for. The higher you list your home, the less it'll sell for. Let's take a look at a couple of these comps. This house right here, this one, check it out, last year was listed for $600. Look, it sold for $620. Look at this one, listed at $575, sold at $610. Look at this one, listed at $620, sold at $650. Now check this one out right here. Listed at $660, sold at $580. Have those comps handy so you can pull them right out. Guys, I'm telling you, this game now is all about you having the information. And you go on these listing appointments. A listing appointment is an event, folks. This isn't a, oh my God, I'll run by on my way home. You have your comps ready, your information ready, your data ready. You be prepared to answer those questions, and you show them that when a home is priced right, it will sell. And it will sell for over asking. People will compete for it. You go too high, they won't compete. More marketing equals more demand equals more money. Part of marketing is the price. Mr. Seller, here's the deal. I don't want to sound arrogant about this, but we're not testing my company's marketing. All we're testing here is the price. And there's no marketing on earth that can overcome an excessively high price. Does that help? All right, one more question and I'm going to go on to more stuff. Who's got a question? Anybody? All right. Go.
So on that same note, do you think it would be a good idea at this market right now to put a price at a really competitive price?
No. No price lower.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So she's asking right now, does it make sense to price like right where all the comps are? Lower, absolutely. Let me tell you something. Who knows Barbara Corcoran, Corcoran Real Estate? You know, she's on the Shark Tank, whatever. I've met her a few times. 2007, she helped me so much, and I told her this when I met her in 2014. She went on the Today Show, and she said, you have to have the best house in the neighborhood and the best price in 07. Do you remember that? She did great. And those were the days that you couldn't get links. I know I sound old. Young people are like, what, this guy was around when they didn't have links? Yeah, I'm 41. You couldn't just go online and get a link of the segment. I reached out to NBC Universal, put in a formal request for her segment, had to pay a fee, and they sent me a CD. Honest to God, we got the CD, and we made tons of copies, and I would show it on my laptop at appointments. Because she said, you can't just have the best house, you also have to have the best price. Now, truth be told, I don't think that we're in a situation of 07, I don't. But you guys have 5 months of inventory now. That's no joke. And if you're not pricing a bit below the competitors, you'll get stung with a few listings that aren't selling, and it will eat your mind alive mentally every day when your sellers are blaming you for their house not selling. I'm telling you. So that extra 10, 15 minutes on that listing appointment to get that price right and not just get them to sign quick, it matters. It matters. That extra contact that you have so that when you do need a price adjustment matters. I'll tell you something else that matters. Let's say 60 days from now you sign up a listing and you sign it up at 600. You ever get those listings you sign up in March? Oh yeah, we're going to list in a month. Before you know it, it's August and they haven't listed it. I don't know about Austin, but I'm going to venture to guess that you're better off listing a home in March than August. Am I right? Okay, the same across the country. So when you get to August and they say, okay, we're ready, you do not list that home at 600,000. You say, I want to come by, we need to have a conversation, we need to look at updated comps. A lot of things have changed since then. You get there, you get in front of them, you go through the comps. Once again, you get that 6 down to a 5 something. Take the extra time. That extra hour to go by their house is dramatically better than hemming and hawing and arguing with the seller for weeks on end because it doesn't sell, and then they blame you. Okay? That's key. All right.
That's section 2, how to talk to sellers. Check out this video that shows Anthony's advice on how real estate agents should set their goals and manage their time. And we'll see you in the next video.